Hi, welcome to Wargaming with Halpy. I'm Halpy, and today we're going to be doing a Batrep, taking a look at a typical battle between Germans and Canadians in World War II, Normandy, just after June 6th. I've designed the table to look like a small French village, and basically two companies are going to be bumping into each other. Unknown to each other, they've set up a reconnaissance and force to the same location, that hotel. Um, the Germans are going to be run by the 21st Division Panzergrenadiers. They start out with some scouts, some motorcycle sidecars. They're ripping up the road as fast as they can to get into town and check it out. Following them is an armored car platoon, KFZ 222s. They're there to protect the reconnaissance if they can keep up with the motorcycles. The German field car has the highest command, the company commander. The following vehicle is a captured British truck, and inside it is a weapons platoon, two heavy machine guns. Two other machine guns have been attached out to the following infantry platoons. Each platoon is divided between two 5-ton trucks, and it's a machine gun platoon. Following that, you'll see there was a sidecar that's got the two IC. So they're in column formation, and they're making their way into the town, basically just to take it over. Okay, so from the Germans' perspective, it looks quite empty right now, so they don't see any reason for trouble. On the other side of the board, yes, there is. The Canadians. The Canadian 3rd Division, a reinforced infantry company, is making their way into town. So the Universal Carry in the front has the company commander and the two IC. They don't see trouble, so they're leading the way. Next is a spotter. There's a mortar company in the back. I'll get to them later. There's two reinforced infantry platoons with 4 squads instead of 3. So that's a lot of teams, 8 teams. And both platoons are inside a newly invented creation called the Defrocked Priest. I'm playing this as the first time they've ever been used in a battle situation, and they're simply to get the troops there. I can get on with the Defrocked Priest later. It's an interesting situation. It's a good story. Okay, so British also have a couple of 6-pounders just in case there's a couple of tanks they have to chase away. And you saw 4 universal carriers. That was the 81 millimeter or 80 millimeter attachment. So at least they had some sort of an artillery. This was supposed to be a scouting mission. Okay, so in first turn, the Germans rolled first. They ripped up with the 4 motorcycles, the reconnaissance group. They went quickly. They got a bonus for using the road. Stormtrooper, they managed to pull in, and I'm a bit liberal with my moves because I'm doing a recreation here. I'm not trying to win the game. I just want to see which side wins. So the reconnaissance make their way in, 2 to the bottom floor, 2 to the top floor. Of course, the sidecars are removed. They can come back at any time, and it's a good vehicle because it's got a machine gun attached to it. Okay, the armored vehicles, which are the protection for the reconnaissance. Oh, they're making their way up. One wasn't quite on the road, so he didn't get to go as fast as the others. Okay, and they're there basically to add as a protection. It's that's all an attachment. This is the regular Panzergrenadier rifle company coming in right now. The commander hits onto the road. The British truck with the heavy machine guns makes its way to the church. That'd be a good setup point for heavy machine guns. Orders have been given to flank the town. So one platoon of the infantry is crossing the road to go left. This group does a short jaunt to the edge of a wheat field and to go right. Okay, a little bit of extra shifting at the end. Now this group only moved a short distance, so even though their stormtrooper move is 4 inches at the end of the, I'm using version 3 Flames of War, I moved them 6. Why? Because I can. It seemed like a good thing to do. So they're spreading out into the field. Okay, now on the British turn, first thing, it looks like a nice cause to set up. So the commander and 2IC jump out, or are they're ready to jump out. On the road, they can see there's trouble. The first platoon that corners it runs into the site of the armored cars. Okay, the second platoon decided to go a bit wide. One of them crashed into the bushes, and I put a bogged down marker there. He didn't make his way. 6-pounders are driving by them, and the mortars in support don't need to go anywhere. They're ranged in on the town pretty well, so they just jump out to get ready to start firing. First up, the 50 cals of the Universal Carriers take shots at the armored cars. The 50 cals can damage those. It's not a good chance, but it is there. So, okay, on the right flank, the Panzergrenadiers are making their way through the wheat field, trying to basically take as much cover as they possibly can. Okay, trucks crashing over the cedar rail fences are going to continue to go there. Now, I just left them alone for a couple of turns. I thought, no, I'll drive them later, so you'll see that. The weapons platoon managed to get into the church. One set up in the steeple, great spot, and the company commander and the other machine gun are taking up a bottom floor position. So that'll be a strong point for the Germans for sure. A return fire from the armored cars. The KFZ 222s are using 20mm cannons shooting at the front of the defrocked priests. Defrock does have a bit of armor, but they are in high danger. The reconnaissance group are shooting. You'd think they would have stayed still and just watched the situation, but they saw an opportunity, so they put everything they had on the top floor into that universal carrier with the commanders. And guess what? Yeah, he failed his role, and they got a firepower of 6. Boom. There goes the company commander dead on the first turn. 2IC takes over. That's a Canadian rule. I could play it commandless, but the Canadians do have an interesting rule where they get to keep on. Next in command takes over in a platoon, like the mission tactics of the Germans. So I'm going to do that with the 2IC and the company commander. Okay, the armored cars backed up. I don't know why. They didn't like the hits. They weren't expecting 50 cals. They wanted to assess the situation. Over in the wheat field, the infantry hears the gunfire and they start to move their way forward. Those guys are really bogged down on that bush. The defrock priest can't get over. His 2 buddies move up. They can see the gunfire coming from the hotel, so they pull into a vegetable field and get their 50 cals ready for pounding away. 6-pounders continue to go. I think they're looking for they're probably going to set up on the road. Seems like a good spot. Their commander drives a little bit forward. Okay, mortars. They're trying to dig in. They did not do so. And just a little bit of shifting. Okay, so defrock priests have 50 cal guns, so they could blast away. I guess that was off camera, and I don't think it did anything. Okay, so the Germans have shifted up. The armored cars are coming back to deal. Oh, okay. I can see the 50 cals had shot into the building. I don't think any damage was done. Okay, 20mm do take out one of the the defrock priests. Only 2 of the men survive. And they take cover. So the platoon survives. That vehicle survives. There should have been 4 men in there, 50% losses. Fortunately, the heavy machine gun can see right onto the rock wall. And I used a house rule where the heavy machine guns have a rate of fire of 8, and they just pound the daylights out of them. So one more of the Canadian Infantry goes down. Meanwhile, on the left side of the battle, I've missed a couple of turns here, so we're just going to push the trucks forward, see how far they can get in a 2-move jaunt. And because it's a recreation and it's a solo situation, you know, you can do what you want just to make sure that it feels right, because the end result is you're just trying to see what happens. All right, so over on the far side, the Canadians look like they're getting ready. The 6-pounder, one's on the road already, so he's probably just going to limber, and he goes down, ready to take shots at those armored cars, which did not move. I guess they weren't too impressed with the 50 cals. I think they will with the 6-pounder. The other 6-pounder is driving by. It's not prepared to shoot yet. Okay, now at the bottom of the screen you can see a universal carrier with the spotter in there. So he can see the infantry that's moving through the wheat field, so I bet you he'll be calling in some shots. Ah, digs in. Smart boy. Okay, so that's a survivor for that field. Of the 4 teams, only one survived. He's already dug in. Looks like the Germans, the Panzergrenadiers, are in really good cover. And yep, the spotter called in a mortar. So that's a spotting round. Boom. They hit that whole section. I doubt the guys in the wheat field don't have any cover, but if they could lose some in here. Basically, boom. Yep, sure. One in the wheat field goes down. All right. I also use another house rule where you get double pinned when you are hit by artillery. So you still got 2 rolls, 1 roll for each guy, but I mean 2 pins for any artillery blast. That helps. It's a neat house rule that allows me to use artillery not as a death sentence, but just basically keep people's heads down. And look at that, the 6-pounder took out one of the armored cars. Good boy. Oh, heavy fire coming from the Panzergrenadiers. They rolled both of their unpins, so they got up and they're firing for effect onto that universal carrier, which they can see right behind the stone wall. And guess what? He dies. Yep, he dies. They got him. They managed to roll enough and rolled their firepower, and they took him out. Okay, I can't see the... oh, no. It's not looking good. The armored cars shot into the defrock priest, and another one blows up. Oh. Okay, so there's 4 teams inside there. Let's see how many of them survive. They have to roll a 5 or better. That platoon's hurting already. Their company commander, lots of dice going in. It's off board. We don't need to see the dice. It's just the results. Okay, well, there's 1 guy out. That's it. That's all. 1 out of 4 teams. Wow. And the 2 I see, I can't see him. Oh, yeah, there's his head. He's pushed up against the brick wall, and that's line of sight, and they can't fire just by moving up against it. They actually have to make a skill test to chop a hole through the bricks. 2 gone. The other defrock priest, he's still in fighting mood. He pushes over so he can take some 50 cal shots, and 2 6-pounders. They're both ready to go. I don't like the odds on those armored cars, because, yeah, this is why they're here, to help out against tanks or armored cars. Go for it, 6-pounders. Oh, meanwhile, over on the other side of the battle, that defrock priest that is still stuck, he's unstuck. Good lad. Okay, that took a bit to get over there. And, well, there he goes. He moves up to his buddy. So that means there's 350 cals that can see the top of that hotel. A little bit of movement. What's going on here? Oh, shots. Okay. 6-pounders. It's movement phase. Shots are coming off. Down the road. And, oh, yeah, there it goes. Okay. That hurts the Germans a lot. They've lost their heavy cover. The Canadians have armored vehicles, and they start to pound into the hotel. 50 cals coming off. I don't think the infantry are, but the 50 cals of the defrock priests are going, and here's 350 cals piling into the top floor. That's just a wooden building, so yeah, it gives them bulletproof cover, but still, that's a lot of 50 cals, and they've got a really good penetration. And their firepower is 5. And sure enough, one of the teams on the top floor destroyed. Well, the other one's going down if they don't do anything about it. Okay, meanwhile, the Panzergrenadiers have moved into the barn. They're not moving. The other ones are fine where they are. Oh, dug in. Okay, so for their movement, they decided to dig in. Well, that makes sense because if another mortar round comes down on them, that could hurt. And they can deal with things once they've got themselves in bulletproof cover, which they have. Good, good. All right, so the Panzergrenadier that was on the top floor moved to the bottom floor. Now they're out of line of sight from those 350 cals that are in the vegetable patch. They're smart. They would have just died if they'd stayed up there. So discretion, better part of valor. The buildings all are railroad buildings. I love them, and I dismantle them and distress them and make them so that the men can all fit in them. It's a good setup. Most of the board is handmade. I've been playing Flames of War for a long time now, 10 years, and it's probably my favorite game. Okay, so the Panzergrenadiers have jumped into the forest. It's a full platoon, 6 teams, commander, and also an HMG. So an MG42 as an attachment from the weapons platoon that's in the church. And they're not moving to the edge of the forest. They're actually staying within the boundaries of the forest. That means they can only see 6 inches out, and the enemy can only see them within 6 inches. So, and since 2 turns have gone by, they roll and dig in. Except for the heavy machine gun, because he didn't have room. Don't know. Well, that was a smart thing, digging in right then, because now that there's no targets, the universal carriers, and these boys are, there's a lot of infantry inside these things. Each universal carrier is packed with 4 teams. The defrock priests. The defrock priests used to just be a priest, but the Americans needed their 105 ammunition, so the British decided, okay, fine, we won't use the priest anymore as an armored artillery. So they took the guns off it, and someone had the bright idea to put armor plating on the front of it and turn it into an armored infantry carrier. Yeah, okay, so the infantry on the left-hand side, he sees the Germans inside the building, and he starts to pound away at that. I guess the center looks pretty safe. 6-pounders start to push forward. Infantry. Oh, few survivors. 6-pounders are shooting again. What are they shooting? Okay. They're going toe-to-toe against the heavy machine gun up in the bell tower. Smart move. Oh, and the defrock priest drives away. Now, here's an interesting thing. If one of the platoons dismounts, by official rules, both platoons are supposed to, but it's a just a solo game. So again, I'm those boys should be dismounting right now, but I'm not going to play it that way. I like this way. House rules rock. Okay, and guess what? That tank that was behind got stuck yet again. Okay, I'm going to definitely see about looking into a different driver. Okay, this is where we keep all the dead. So far a lot of firing going on. 3 teams of the Germans have went down. Company commander for the British. And I see 6-pounders in the background. What? Okay, the MG teams which are dug in start to return fire against the defrock priests. Ooh, and they didn't. They charged. Okay, so 3 shifted up with the heavy machine gun to look at the mortars, and half the platoon with the commander charged right at the universal carriers. Gutsy move. A lot of dice rolling. It's a wonderful game. It really is. It's so easy. Defensive fire just went down and from the 50 cals, and one of the infantry went down. Oh, this is rolling where they should be getting their skill test of 300 to do a hit. 1 fail. Wow. Okay, so they do 2 hits, and I tank 2. Top armor is 0. dead. Let's see about this third. It's... Oh, dear. All right. So with a situation like this, what do you do? Do you leave your boys inside the vehicles? Saving throws for the Defrock Priest, 4 teams, 2 survivors. Looks pretty good. Not bad. I like these sort of games because you just try to put yourself in the position. It's not a matter, oh, am I doing the rules right? It's like, you're just trying to see the flow of the game and the way everything works. Oh, okay. So the Canadians decided that on counterattack, they made their morale check, which is they're confident. They still had to get a 4 or better, and they decided to take it. So all of a sudden, out of these 2 universal carriers plus the survivor from the one that was blown up, the Germans are in a lot of hurt. All of a sudden, there's Canadians everywhere. I don't think the Germans imagined it was going to be a beehive. I think they thought they were going to roll 2 hits on the universals, destroy them, and cause a morale check. But, it's not going well. Okay, so after the dice rolling is done, that's such a simple system too. It's probably one of the most elegant games for recreating a really good reenactment of World War II. I mean, the rules, some people, they say they're funky, but version 3 I love. It's so detailed. You can pull from it absolutely anything. And at the end of the day, the simulations and the recreations, you can sit back and say, yeah, that's good. That's really, really the outcome that I was expecting. So yeah, those armored vehicles, the Canadians come charging out, and they pushed into the forest, driving the... Okay, return fire. Wow. Okay, so the Germans are returning fire with 2 MG teams and a heavy machine gun. That is a lot of damage. Because the Germans left half their platoon behind. So while the other side is scrambling back into the woods. Yeah, amazing. Okay, the damage has been done. And the Canadians, that was a lot. They stick it. They're below 50%, but they stick it. That's really, really good. Okay. And on their turn, they move in. Looks like they're going to be doing an assault fast and furious, keeping 2 inches away. 1, 2, 3, 4 shots coming in at the Panzergrenadiers. So those Canadians are tough as nails in this battle. I mean, they've taken over 50% casualties. And, wow, they're still pushing into the forest and giving it. I counted 5 dice. I guess I included that commander, which I shouldn't have done. Wow. The heavy machine gun didn't make their saving throw. They just lost. Germans just lost their best gun. Oh, wow. And another infantry goes down. So at the end of the shooting step, the morale of the Germans is tested. They failed. They needed to get a motivation of 3 or better. They failed. The Canadians did their job. They rushed out, boom, forced them back. Heavy firepower in both directions, but they won. Meanwhile, there's a lot of dice rolling going on the far side. The infantry that are behind the stone wall are duking it out with their counterpart, the Panzergrenadiers, in the dug-in cover in the barn. The Canadians are good fighters, but they're rifle MGs. The Germans are just an MG team. That means their rate of fire. They probably have 30% more firepower than the Canadians. The Canadians are also confident trained, so they're easier to hit. These Germans have been around for a while, and I don't like the way this is boiling down. Of course, it's sped up, but and we still have the heavy machine gun fire coming from the tower. Yeah, what we didn't see off board was the 6-pounders took shots at the steeple. They failed miserably. The heavy machine gun fire from the steeple actually killed both of the 6-pounders. They failed their shield test, and they're gone, just like that. Oh, a lot of dice rolling. It's just crazy. Okay, well, it's got to end sometime. There's a lot of back and forth. Okay, come on. Somebody kill someone, okay? We're getting bored. Oh, thank you. Okay, so the Canadians go down. I don't see any infantry coming off for the Germans. Oh, okay, that's a pinned marker. The Canadians still have the 80 mortars. So that's where the problem's coming from. So the Canadian mortars keep on pinning the Panzergrenadiers, but so many dice are coming downwind. The Germans have 30% more dice. The Canadians start to fall. As soon as they start to fall, it's going to crumble quickly. Make their motivation. They stick it. They're still fighting. Oh, look at that. Okay, so that's a lot of dice. That is the firepower of the Panzergrenadier, a full Panzergrenadier rifle platoon. The Canadians are not going to bode well. They should be pulling. Oh, okay. Injuries all over. Let's see if they stick it. Yeah, they keep on fighting. Well, the interesting thing is the Canadians also have a rule where they roll twice for motivation. Even though they failed that, they'll do it again. Oh, looks like the Panzergrens have had enough of trading firepower. Thank you. Thank you. And they're coming to do battle. So everyone jumps out of their foxholes or the barn and across the road to what's remaining of the Canadians. Everyone. Oh, this is well coordinated. Okay, so everyone's coming out. The last of the recce team and the company commander. They're charging across the board at the Canadian Rifle Platoon and the 2 IC. And there's not a lot to stop them. Okay, defensive fire. It's not going to be a lot. Oh, they still get the heavy machine gun fire coming in. Oh yeah. Oh my God, this does not bode well. The range that we use for the heavy machine gun's a bit larger too. We gave it a rate of fire of 8, and it can shoot 24, yeah, like normal. But at a modifier of 2 for distance, they can also go from 24 to 32 inches. So they can range in a little farther. I don't do too much tweaking, but in this case, I didn't feel the heavy machine guns were doing as much of a role, so that made sense. Oh boy. So much dice rolling. It's a good thing I enjoy this, which I do. This is absolutely amazing. I can just focus in on a game like this. What we are doing in this first one, this is my very first video. Welcome. And what I'm going to be doing is a recreation of a lot of battles in Normandy. So I'm going to be taking a look at a situation like this one, where a village, 2 reconnaissance companies have bumped into each other, results are. And I'm going to be doing a sequential order of battle. So the next one I'll be doing is, after the results of this, I'll play on the same table and recreate another believable scenario. So I don't go on point so much as what would actually be coming down the road. So all of these things in this style of battle report aren't going to be true player-on-player games. They're going to be complete recreation. So if that's your thing, that's great. And thanks for listening, okay? If you've been with the video for this long, you must be interested. Oh, so the assault comes off as expected. Defensive fire. Okay. Defensive fire, 1 German went down. That was a pioneer. But they have to... Oh my goodness. Okay, in the assault, they needed their skill test, which is 3 or better. The Panzergrenadiers are confident veterans. Difference between a veteran and a trained, which the Canadians are, is to hit a veteran, you need to roll a 4 or better with each rate of fire dice. And with the trained, you need a 3 or better. Okay. The Germans have been around. The Canadians not only don't have the firepower of this massive MG unit, because there's so many light machine guns that are coming down on them. Shock them. Okay. That's the 2 I see. He failed his motivation. Game over. He gives up. The Germans win the town. They've lost half of their pioneer platoon. The armored cars did their job, sort of, but it was the heavy machine guns that were the stars. Okay, on that side, the Canadians did their job, but they're not going to stick it. So the mortar platoon, they'd be getting on their universal carriers and heading back down the road as fast as they could. What's remaining of this, even though they took the forest, they lost a lot of men. And you can see in the dead pile, it's nasty. Well, thank you for watching. So this is my first battle report. My name is Halpy, and you've been watching Wargaming with Halpy. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down, since this is my first attempt at doing battle reports. If you have any comments, please leave them below. I've really enjoyed watching this small battle situation with you, where the Panzergrenadiers came on top of the Canadian 3rd.